ANX model experiences hell and lives to become a soul win. I am a former model and now a servant of God. I worked in a modeling agency where I sold my image. I also worked in another branded fashion company and I wore clothes to advertise that fashion company. I met a boy named Omar Narvaez and after a few months of dating, we got married. He is an evangelical and wants me to leave my profession out of jealousy. His biggest mistake was not to marry a servant of God and wanting a godless woman like me. Christians today have their carnal minds, preferring beautiful women, no matter if they are of the world. Our marriage was not going well and my husband started hitting me and forbidding me to work. I was so hateful of him and started dating another man secretly. One day he discovered my affair. He saw the boy with me but he had no reaction. My husband wrote a letter apologizing to me. He said he was very authoritarian with me and understood that I was betraying him for revenge and not for not liking it. What he said is true, I loved him but I was very hurt. I wanted to cause him pain so he could feel what I was feeling. He left home and went to another city. I was free to work at my job. My brother Fernando, who got involved with drugs, had just become a drug dealer. I wanted to look more beautiful and spent money on cosmetic surgery. I put silicone on my buttocks and 3 months later I had surgery to put implants in my breasts. I went to the operating table and had complications that day. I lost a lot of blood and my heart had very weak heartbeats. My visions were getting dark. I was dying slowly and my spiritual vision was becoming real. I began to see demons looking like vultures around me wanting to take my soul. I prayed in my thoughts for mercy to God. I was scared to death and I did not want those ugly monsters to take my soul. I closed my eyes and could not open and woke up in hell. I was terrified to see the horror scene in that place. Tattoos in hell. I saw a man whose back was full of tattoos and a demon whipped his back and the pieces of flesh began to fall to the ground. Then the same demon with a blade cut off the man's back and took off all his tattooed skin. Wherever he had a tattoo on his body, the demon cut the tattooed flesh and left only the skeleton behind. This man was severely punished for painting the temple of the Holy Spirit. Silicone implants. I ran away terrified and saw women who had silicone implants in their bodies. Silicones took on a life and live within their bodies. They exploded like bladders inside the bodies of these women. Other silicones created legs and came alive from inside those women. These silicones are demons like a living gelatin that lived within those women, and when they died and fell into hell, they came out of their bodies to torment them. Silicone demons live inside the people who put silicone implants in their bodies. You may even die and be buried with your silicone-filled body, but the demons are installed inside the soul because of the silicone and will only come out when you are inside hell. For those who have converted to Jesus and have silicone in the body and been released from the world, the silicone demon has left, even if the plastic material is inside the person. I took all the silicones out of my body after I came back from hell. I was terrified to know that it belongs to the demons. I saw in hell the demons with silicone materials ready to bring them up to earth. The demons in hell call such people who put silicones in their body, my plastic dolls. Models, beauty queens, and dancers in hell. I saw a place in hell where there were only models. They died in the illusion of gaining fame and wealth in the world through their beauties. I saw poor and rich models. There are male models in this place as well. This is a bait Satan has played to win many souls. I saw a lot of beauty queens in hell. There is a place that only has beautiful people who idolize their own bodies. I saw dancers of television programs. People who like dancing in concert halls. When they die they will dance to the demons inside the hell room. There they are forced to dance on the nails forever. Their feet were bleeding and hot nails of embers ripped their feet. Christians in hell. I saw false prophets, false teachers and false shepherds. The demons thrust a great iron into their mouths until they pierced their throats. They are tormented in the mouth because they refused to preach the true gospel. They did not want to preach the truth and used fables of the Old Testament, preaching riches. I saw a young man who had strayed from Jesus' path for not being able to find a wife. I saw a girl who was walking in the way of Jesus. When she met an impious boy, she started dating him. The boy took her out of the way of Jesus and the demon of death took possession of him. This young man took the life of this girl and she is in hell. I saw a Christian who went astray for not getting a job to work for, he suffered a lot in hell. I saw a pastor who was left behind by his wife and children. He did not stand the test and went astray, died and is in hell. I saw a missionary in hell. She liked her job and when she was fired she turned away from Jesus. This woman was in hell suffering mortal agony. I saw a Christian couple in hell, both were evangelists. The boy did the work of God and won many souls. The girl was also dedicated to the work. When the two married their faith became cold. They failed to win souls and despite going to church, they had renounced their calls. They were anointed by God to do the work of taking the gospel and they stopped proclaiming it. One day they went to a place to enjoy life. They went by car and that day the demons shot them with an arrow of death. The car hit a wall and the two died and are now in hell. Politicians. I saw politicians in hell because of corruption and lies. I saw political Christians in hell. The Christian cannot be political. The only church that makes an alliance with politics is the harlot of the apocalypse. The harlot is the false church that makes a covenant with the government of the beast and accepts its mark. The false church will persecute the Christians. Any church that makes an alliance with the governments of this land is no longer brides but prostitutes. Jeans are from hell. I saw female and male jeans in hell. I saw jeans skirts in hell. This cloth was made in the gallery of hell. And the cloth was consecrated by a Satanist to never go out of style. Men and women of God, please do not use this cloth. I saw several jeans fashions in hell. I saw torn trousers, stained and embroidered in hell. Sneakers. I saw devil sports pants. I saw tennis in hell and a factory of demons. This factory produced sneakers with the brands of Nike, Olympiacos, Adidas, and other brands. And on earth, these brands are successful because they are consecrated to Satan. Do not wear sneakers, wear social shoes. I watched as the beaks of the sneakers opened and the insole was a tongue that came out from inside and you could see the sharp teeth of piranhas of these sneakers. Clothes from hell. I saw many brands of clothes that I used to make advertisements. The stylistic designs of these clothes are planned in hell. The demons wear these clothes in hell and still mock the models. I saw the demons of catwalks that influence the models. I had a vision of a great parade, where the demons paraded the same models. The owners of the companies make a pact and receive information from hell how they should produce the clothes. And the mediators of the covenants are the sorcerers. The designs on the shirts are also figures of demons. My vision went down to earth and I could see a demon of murder coming to possess my brother Fernando. His personality turned bad. I saw his heart hardening and his soul dark. He would take a gun and murder another person. I am Omar Narvaez, husband of Belinda Martinez. I had gone to another city and was sad that I was not a good husband. My rebellion as a Christian cost a high price. I had a dream of an angel of God who came to me and touched my body. And suddenly my body was filled with leprosy. After that dream, I had leukemia and was hospitalized. I was being broken for being a hard-hearted, bad-tempered Christian. I repented and prayed in my room where I was hospitalized. When my family heard that I was hospitalized, they abandoned me. Neither did my wife know of the disease I had. I began to pray for her to forgive me. Belinda continues. While I was on the surgery bed, a force from hell pulled me down and I was trapped in that place. The doctors who had put silicone implants in me were fighting for my life. I came back alive on that hospital bed. Months later I took the silicone implants out to live as a natural person. It was very painful. I took them out because I wanted to, because God had forgiven me. I was praying at dawn. I saw a man armed on a motorcycle around my brother Fernando's house. Behind this man was a death demon. My brother was about to be killed because the man expected him to leave the house to kill him. I prayed to God to deliver my brother. Just as an angel blinded the army of Syria, that man waiting for my brother to kill him was blinded by an angel. My brother was delivered from death through my prayer. Today my brother is a pastor. A demon used a rich man who owns a modeling agency to offer me $1 million contract to work as a model. I was confused and said, I would like to think about it first and tomorrow I would give you a concrete answer. When it was the night I dreamed of many souls descending to hell and asking for help. And a voice told me, many souls are dying and others are crying for help. If you do not go to the mission, many will be lost because of you. The next day I told the modeling businessman, I do not want the job. He doubled the money. When he did that, God allowed me to see his face that was deformed, looking like a monster. I rejected it and went to the house to pray for overcoming the temptation. And Jesus spoke to me, sending his angel who appeared in my room and said, 500 souls await you on this mission. Satan knows this and tries to stop you. He is able to offer fortunes, power, and even kingdoms to prevent a person from doing the mission because 500 souls for him is too much and he does not want to lose them to God. Money for Satan is worthless. In eternity, money is worthless, only in the physical and material world. What has value in the spirit world is all that is eternal and not perishable. A soul is eternal, and for Satan has more value than all the money in the world, not the bank that buys a soul. I had a beauty salon. I dyed women's hair and painted nails and did hair removal on women and men. But in the church, I preached that it is a sin to paint nails and dye hair while I kept working in my beauty salon. Until one day the Holy Spirit rebuked me, saying, "You preach against vanity, but you still work for your business in sin. What is the use of preaching against sin if you finance the vanity industry to sell its products in your trade?" I closed the salon. I wanted to reconcile with my husband. I was sorry for the sin of adultery. I received some false news that he had died of cancer of the blood. And when I was thinking about getting married again, the angel of the Lord came to me at dawn and said that I am not a widow, for my husband is still alive. I had met a Christian before this and I was forced to leave him. I was able to find my husband and he was not sick. He was cured of leukemia and was doing the work. He was changed, he was no longer that brutal man. It was 1 year and 3 months that he suffered from this cancer being broken and remodeled into another man, being a new creature. We forgave each other, we reconciled, and we came to live together again. My husband opened a ministry. A deaconess was seducing my husband. I prayed to God and he revealed to me that a demon of seduction was using her. I prayed to God for freedom from the temptation of seduction on my marriage, and this deaconess left our ministry and we never saw her again. When I had this revelation of hell, I never went back to work in that fashion company. I'd rather lose everything on this earth than enjoy the privileges of being a model and the propaganda girl. I'd rather have the certainty of losing everything here in order to win everything when entering the heavenly mansion. I see people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for earthly things. None of this has any value compared to God's grace and salvation. The joy of having the name written in the book of life and overflowing in the face the anointing of God is everything in life. We are rich by all this. I mean, for people who put money above all else. I made a lot of money as a model and my high salary did not fill my emptiness. The harlot of the apocalypse is adorned with the adornments of the world to seduce. The harlot uses seductive dresses and is intoxicated with the wine of pleasures. Many women in the church wear the same ornaments of this world. Her garments are seductive like the harlot of the apocalypse. Christian women get drunk on the wine of this world like a great harlot. The wine of the pleasures of this world is vanities, sensuality, and fads. I do evangelism with my husband everywhere. I want to share the heavenly heritage with everyone. I want to see all the souls on the other side of life, enjoying paradise. We cannot die without taking the kingdom of God to the people. All this is free and I want to share everything that is of God with you. The function of man is to live in Christ and not only to exist on earth. Many Christians because of offices make their hearts proud. Others because they have wisdom and theology feel that they do not need God at the time of preaching. This is a danger. Be simple, trust only in Jesus, not in your strength. Without Jesus no one conquers the devil. What I perceive in the churches are imitations of celebrity preachers. Christians are imitating the way they speak and the personality of their leaders. No one imitates the sincere holiness of a servant of God. For God there is no comparison and no competition. You are you, he is him. No one is better than anyone else because of positions, merits or high wages paid by the church. Christians who like to appear in the pulpit of the churches may rob the church of anointed ministry from heaven. Others give out a lot of printed materials to get attention. Churches have many ways of the flesh that do not please God. A worker named Armando ran one of my husband's branches. He is humble and has helped many in the function of the work. He prayed to God and asked for a civil engineer position. He worked at this construction company and with the degree that he had from a civil engineering college, he wanted to work in the area. God heard his prayer and he was promoted in the company. The problem is that he abandoned the work and stopped praying. The comfort of his salary paralyzed his spiritual life. He only thought of traveling, and Jesus told me that Satan will take advantage of this ease to destroy his life. He was a pastor whose preaching is tremendous. He asked and received this wonderful gift of preaching, but he was now burying this gift. My husband had to choose another worker in his place to direct the branch. I have prayed so much for God to awaken Brother Armando that he will do the work again. Many workers in our ministry who have lost their material possessions have strayed from the path of God. This means that their hearts were not on Jesus but were on the material goods of this earth. They were reproved as men of faith and did not pass the test. Workers of our ministry who were more used than I, left the path of Jesus because they were unemployed. I was worried about seeing so many Christians leaving our ministry. Jesus said to me, "I will send trials to those who went out, and this will bring changes to them." After 3 months of this revelation, a worker came back with a broken heart. She, her husband, and her children were a blessing in the church. After she left us, her son became addicted to drugs and died of an overdose. Her husband left her and went to another city. Another worker returned to the ways of God after being humiliated in the world. She lost her job she had achieved in consecrations. She was evicted from the rented house that she lived in and was living on charity. This woman had no husband or children but suffered humiliation from others. A deacon of our ministry had gone astray. I prayed a lot for him, and several times I saw an angel closing the pits for him. I dreamed several times with him walking in a dark entrance full of deep pits. An angel with a shovel threw earth into that pit, closing them so he would not fall. My prayer prolonged the life of this young man and stopped the monster of death that wanted so much to take him. Even so, he only came back to our ministry with a serious illness. God allowed this distress to awaken him. He had cancer and had no alternative, and the only way was to surrender to God. Nearly dying, he repented and wept bitterly. It was 6 months of distress, and Jesus lifted him from that bed and healed him. Cancer disappeared, and today he does the work helping my husband. The small business of the deacon Raul went bankrupt. He got into debt without being able to pay his debts. He would congregate with us and helped my husband open the ministry and did an administration college. He opened his small business and promised God if he gave success to him, he would help the work of Jesus grow. When his company began to profit, he sidetracked and began to spend his money on women and prostitution, forgetting his promise he had made. The man promises and does not fulfill, but God fulfills what he promises because he watches over his word to fulfill it. Beware of what you have promised to God, for he will hold you accountable. This man lost everything and remembered God. He came to our church a broken and needy man. Jesus spoke to me, revealing to me what would happen to the deviants, and the revelations were all fulfilled from 3 months onwards. Jesus said, "I will let Satan touch what is most important in their lives, that which occupies the first place in their hearts." And many who were in our ministry and had gone out to the world for banal things for about a year and a half have come back to the Lord's work in the church. When my husband lost these members, he almost closed the church because he did not have enough offerings to pay the rent. When my husband took the key from the hall to hand over to the owner, on the same day a businessman stopped his car near this humble church and made a donation in cash. And we were able to pay 1 year of rent, and we signed a contract. When the work is of God, he does not allow failures and prepares everything. I had wept and prayed hard that the church would not close. After the deviants returned, they began to give their offerings. As we advanced 1 year's rent, we were in peace. You have only one arrow. Shoot the right target, as this is the only opportunity. If we lose the chance, we will not win these souls. Learn to use the word according to each problem. Each verse is the exact solution to a different problem. The word is a medicine to people according to their problems and circumstances. Every word of the Bible is a spiritual treatment for every sickness of the soul. The church has to be like a father and support the children without missing the nourishment of the word, teaching them to work in the work. The church is also a mother who gives affection, love, correction, and leaves nothing lacking. The church is like a bird that welcomes the young under the wings and teaches them to walk, advising on the dangers of evil. The church has to pass trust, conviction, and certainty of the truthfulness of the biblical doctrine. The church has to satisfy everyone who hears its teachings. People today prefer to congregate in ancient and famous churches. It is not a matter of which church is best known but which churches are the chosen ones of the Lord. Church names mean nothing. Temple sizes and the number of members are not important. Old churches are famous for their stories, but today they are dead. Do not belittle the churches that are not known. Do not despise a small church with few members, as they can live a serious gospel life while the famous churches do not give spiritual life to their members. The church may be unknown and very spiritual. And the famous churches with large numbers of members live in the flesh. It is the small churches that are experiencing a revival. I am Belinda's husband and a pastor of a small church. The people are committed to Jesus from this church and are being taught to walk in the right path of the Good Shepherd. We do not offer magic formulas of prosperity and we do not advertise miracles to attract crowds. There are churches that announce what they cannot do. They promise what Jesus did not promise to do. When Jesus wants to operate his wonders, he does not stand in the way of selling miracles. Jesus is not required to work miracles unless he wants to because of a miracle campaign. He cannot be forced to perform the vanities of these transgressing pastors of the gospel, doing as they please. The church, to gain respect and credibility from God, has to be different, being a spiritual church. It will succeed without human effort if Jesus is in control of the ministry. The humble church has to treat souls well and collect the addresses of Catholic visitors. The workers in my church serve people well and teach in homes. Souls have converted and we study every neighborhood where we step on our feet before taking the floor. I am Belinda and I affirm that what my husband spoke is what we do. The church group already went to take the gospel in far places, where it had no taps, only rivers, and wells. We entered countries where we were rejected and our word was not received. Our church has productivity and we get to win 100 souls a month. Our goals are to get to win 1,000 souls a month, but what matters is willpower. The work is hard, many workers cannot keep pace with the evangelism of the ministry we do in every neighborhood of the city. Christians are accustomed to churches where no one leaves the temples to evangelize in the streets. They cannot adapt to our church because they only go up and talk about Jesus on pulpits. I was trained by God to rescue souls. This is my specialty. I do not promise what Jesus will not do, and through every need, we teach people what Jesus wants for each one. We do not campaign promising a life fulfilled by making Jesus a lamp genie. I always speak of the difficulties of being a Christian and of the narrow path that they should follow. When our group goes to the streets to evangelize, we always tell people that it may be their last chance and their only opportunity to save themselves. It may be your last days of life, some may die today or tomorrow. Let us continue to do this work with love to reach hearts. We have to hit the target and be competent. ANX model experiences hell and lives to become a soul win.